And good morning. I'm your friend Scotty Ray. Already 68 as we make a high toward 91 today. It'll be warm, won't it? Now, rain is in the forecast as we look at what's going to be happening. We have about a 60% chance, but this should hold off until late in the afternoon. Somewhere around 3, 4 o'clock is when we will probably start seeing those sprinkles. We'll watch it, and we'll also look at the radar in a minute. We've got a chance of some severe weather over to the west. Southwest Mississippi is the way we'll word that. East Mississippi should be fairly good on that. We did have some thunderstorms roll through the area late yesterday afternoon. Some heavier showers moved into Clark County, fired off a western severe thunderstorm warning on that west side over by Enterprise. And I want to say even a power went out for a little bit there. Those who were on Mississippi Power yesterday afternoon, tree hit a line. Took a few people out of power for a little while as they repaired that. How do you feel today? Let's hope good. Odie is back. He's in a good mood over there, smiling. We're ready to get things underway at 7 o'clock just for y'all. Irene, good morning. Glad to see you. Union, Mississippi is where she calls home. Jerome Lee joins us this morning. How you doing, Jerome? Billy is there. Also, Miss Dorothy joins us today as we get it well underway. Lots to talk about at 7 o'clock of cars that drive through buildings. Rump row. We'll tell you about that coming up at 7. And we're going to go over a few of these headlines that are shaping America this morning. Things that go thump in the dark that you need to know about. We'll do those next in just a moment here. Let's go to Collinsville. It's time to get the preacher man out and get a good word for the day.
Now, if you're as old as I am and a bit of a game show junkie, then you probably remember that really fun one from the 80s called Press Your Luck. Remember that? Contestants would answer questions and earn an opportunity to win cash or prizes by hitting a buzzer to freeze the game board. And whatever lit up, they won. But if you hit a whammy, which is like a little red devil, all your earnings would go away. So you wanted to do all that you could to avoid a whammy. And the contestants would often say as the squares on the board were flashing around randomly, no whammy, no whammy, no whammy. And then when they were ready to hit the buzzer, they'd say, stop! Well, that game show is a lot like life in the fact that we want to do everything we can to avoid whammies. And here in today's proverb, we don't just have a whammy, we have a double whammy. It says in Proverbs 10:18, the one who conceals hatred has lying lips, and whoever utters slander is a fool. You see, hatred can hit you with a double whammy. It can drive you to be a liar, and it can drive you to be a slanderer. Have you ever hated somebody but was nice to their face? Well, you shouldn't hate anybody, but nevertheless, you weren't being true in that moment. Your lips lied. You didn't speak with integrity of the heart. You added lying to your hatred and concealed your hatred. That's a whammy. And then there are other times, particularly behind their back, you don't conceal your hatred then. No, you vent your hatred, and often your hatred drives you to slander that person, to say false and hurtful things about them. Listen, that's a whammy too. So hatred, whether you conceal it and deceive people or vent it and slander people, it's a double whammy. So you should avoid hatred at all costs, right? In fact, Jesus said in Matthew 5, you've heard it said you shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I say to you, love your enemies and pray for those that persecute you so that you may be sons of your Father who's in heaven. So beloved, don't press your luck with hate. No whammy, no whammy. Stop. Change begins in you.
The Change Begins in You is brought to you in part by Piggly Wiggly of Collinsville, Patrick Allen Companies, Mitchell Tire and Wrecker in Collinsville, and Mowdy Cabinetry. Welcome back. We'll get things back to normal this morning here in a few moments. I was telling Odie as I look about this, I've got to get better at this. I'm not as well-rounded as I should with national politics. And what I mean by that is if the seats in the House and the Senate of the races that are going on, if this person does this, how this will affect what happens to our country. I've got to really brush up on this. Montana is where we go. John Tester is going to be, he is the Democrat running for House, is what it looks like this is going to be. Tim Shealy, who is a Republican, has won the Republican nomination. Now, how will this turn out? It's the Senate race, It's the Senate race. This could really affect who holds the Senate is why I say I need to be more well-rounded. Does John Tester really have a chance of beating and unseating Democrat John Tester? I'm not sure. I haven't kept up with it enough. But those are the two that are going to face off in Montana. And again, these races do, when it's down to the wire of 2 to 3 holding a percentage high, makes a huge difference in our nation's politics. And I got to get better at that, of knowing what's what. We'll do some research on that today. Odie's going to push me to learn more. Need to know those things. See what else is happening. This is one of those, and we feel sorry. I just don't know them. Odie, did you know a TV show called Felicity? I've heard the name.
But I've never watched.
And that's all I know about it. And he also was in one of the later movies, Friday the 13th, the final chapter. A gentleman named Eric Anderson, 67, has passed away. I didn't know him, and this is Fox News. I'll show you a picture of him. Fox News shows him there. And again, I don't watch scary shows, so I don't know him from that. And Felicity, somehow or another, didn't make it to my TV show list, so to speak, there. But he passed away. We pass along condolences to the family there. As we look at things across the world, Beirut, shots fired near our U.S. Embassy at Beirut. We need to pay attention. And again, I always say that there's a bigger threat, and if y'all been paying attention to what little bit gets out from the government, there's a huge threat on our own soul. And they know this. Pay attention, large crowds. We could have people in our country that we're not even aware of. Or as a matter of fact, I think we have them here. Open border, they've slipped in with the crowds. We've been watching this case. Did y'all see this last week where the juror, this is in a $40 million fraud case that is being played out in courtroom. Minnesota is where it is. And this goes back to COVID money, $40 million. People are up charged with this. One of the jurors said, hey, there's $120,000 left on my doorstep that says if I acquit them, it's mine. It was in cash. He turned it over. Another juror has been replaced also in this. Do not think that things don't go on. What if this person had never spoke up about the 120? You think about that. You barely get by. You're barely making your groceries, and somebody leaves $120,000 on your doorstep for you to, well, just not know something, so to speak. How many honest Americans are there left? Well, this was one. But I'm scared to say how many would have took the money and run. What was that old song? Take the money and run?
Money and run.
There's a lot of people who would have done that. Is this the first time this has happened?
Who's to say all 12 didn't get it?
Yeah. As Odie said over there, what's to say more didn't get this? It's scary, and it happens in America every day. It's how things, sometimes you look and you go, well, how'd that happen? That doesn't make sense. Sheds a little light on the situation. We can't prove any of this, of course, but we're smart people, aren't we? Texas. We've all been to the great state of Texas at some point, been near it, heard about it at least. Irving, Texas. Wingstop employee was being sent home because he was arguing with other employees. It just gotten too bad. His boss told him to leave. He got mad and shot him. His boss is now dead. Again, we've got, I think the guy was 22 years old that done the shooting. We're at a point in America to where people don't really realize the value of life. A generation that pops off instead of an argument or a fist thrown, they use deadly force. We see it over and over in America. Hopefully this will change. Do y'all remember, this was in Colorado back in 22. Why the car, I can't remember why the police car was stopped on the railroad tracks, but it was. Had a young lady in the back that was handcuffed. She was hit by a train while she was in the back of the car. She lived. A lot of broken bones in this. They have settled with her. $8.5 million is what she walks away with for being handcuffed and hit by a train. Again, I really don't remember why the car was left on the tracks, what the deal was. But it was, she was in the back of the SUV when it was hit. Fort Lumpton, Colorado. Boy, boy. Now, as we all look at that figure, remember there's a lawyer somewhere who gets half of that.
And I hate lawsuits, but that's all she got?
Yeah, as Odie says, he doesn't approve of lawsuits in most cases, but is that all she got? That was bad. Not to mention, and I don't know how this will come out. Y'all know this one. Y'all expect to see this one. Remember the rookie cop that arrested the guy? It was a guy, then he accidentally was texting, drove off, and they all drowned. I can't remember the state, but that will be coming up before long. Man alive. That scary there. I have to commend police on this, and also the 911 services as this call come out, because this is Michigan, and I relate it to the lack of police. And the police have to decide which is worse. Where do I go now if they get a call in? We all know that. There's not many police that are left. We had a lot of people as this defund happened, and police were spat at, thrown at. A lot of them just got out of it. But as we look at Michigan, a woman calls in. You can visualize this. She hears something outside her house, and she calls, and a lot of people would go, well, that's just somebody walking through your yard. It's no big deal. Well, police respond to it pretty quickly. They catch a guy leaving her house. He'd beat on the door, couldn't get in. As they detained him, they would find a book bag with a gun, a knife, duct tape, latex gloves, a former co-worker of hers who had a crush on her, who was going in one way or the other. And had they not responded when they did, and a lot of times when I say this, the cops sometimes show up 20, 25 minutes later, they miss them. They showed up in the nick of time on this. This could have been deadly, and thank heavens that worked out good. Y'all know what I'm talking about. We see it every day, the lack of. I hope we reach a point to where we can get more police one day, to where it's, again, an honor to be a police officer. We get back to that in America. Boy Meets World, I never watched that show. Did you watch that?
The kids did.
Odie says his kids did. I didn't. I remember the little curly-headed dude, and then they tried to do a remake of it, and then he got thrown off of his own show. This girl, I've looked at her picture 4 or 5 times, and I don't remember her being in the original cast, but I'll show you the picture. I Googled her name. Her name is Tina McGee. Let me show you her picture here. Here she is. And apparently she was on the show. I don't remember her. She's 54 and pregnant. Hello.
54?
54. So that means 74. That should be roughly in her 70s when her child will be graduating. No, that's not the first time that's happened. This will make her 4th child, but it made me go, whoo, 54.
Talk about starting over.
That is starting over, isn't it? 54. You want to talk about playing ball and trying to keep up? Ooh-wee. I can't keep up with my garbage can now when I'm rolling it down this. And I make light of that because, boy, has she got some years ahead of her. I had a good friend of mine that I grew up with. He was the only child. And when he was born, and I'll never forget this, his daddy was 65 years old. Only child. His dad was 65. So when he graduated, his dad was, whoa, yeah.
93.
Yeah, in his 90s. And I'll never forget that. Now, again, it wasn't much activity, but he loved his daddy. I'm just saying it's harder to keep up the older you get. That's all I'm saying. And again, I'm sure that there's been folks older that have children. Girl meets world, Bob says. That's a pretty good one to start today off. You're in that age. Can y'all imagine Odie having a kid right now all of a sudden? Yeah, Odie's shaking his head. No way, no how. Man alive. Anyway, we'll be right back with your weather forecast here in just a moment to get your day started. We'll get it all underway there. 54. Woo! We'll be right back.
The Preserve at Meridian is the premier senior living community in the Meridian area, offering independent living cottages, assisted living, and maintain their independence and pursue an engaging lifestyle with a robust activities calendar, personalized care programs, wellness activities, restaurant-style dining, and much more. Call or visit us online today at preserveatmeridian.com to schedule your personal tour.
And welcome back. I'm your friend Scotty Ray. I'm getting questions, and we will find this out today. DeKalb, Mississippi, what happened in the vote? I have not checked into that yet. I will look into that this morning. We'll get some text out to find out what happened with that. As we turn to radar this morning, let's take a look at what's going on there as we talked about a little bit of severe weather today. This is the outlook as we look out to our west, a level 1 in southwestern Mississippi, a line from west of Hattiesburg, taking in Macomb, Natchez, Jackson, and Vicksburg here, a level 1. And even as you go back into Texas and look at this, not all that bad, all the way to San Antonio. Just a level 1 throughout those areas. Now, again, we should start seeing rain somewhere after 3 o'clock, 3:30, 4 o'clock. Look for some sprinkles in the forecast. Otherwise, it's just going to be kind of cloudy. We will have some periods of sunshine, most likely. High of 91. Let's get deeper into the forecast now.
Your forecast is brought to you by EMEPA, your Touchstone Energy Cooperative.
Those record highs, record lows. 2011, it was 100 today. I can feel the sweat from here. Wow, wow. We go back to 1954 for a cool day. It was 50 degrees in 1954, if y'all can remember way back when. As we look across here to see what's happening, let's head to the wrong page. Here we go. The outlook for today, 91. As you'll see, the rain a little bit worse in other areas than it is here in Lauderdale County. It'll even get heavier as we get to Columbus Air Force Base in that particular area. But it's still in the forecast a 60% chance of rain later in the day. As we look at Bama, 91 there in Demopolis, and it'll stay steady that way all the way to Tuscaloosa. Birmingham, a tad cooler at 89. Over in Auburn, 89 as well. As we go down south, get near Dothan, about 90 in those areas there. Now, as we look here, this is what we just looked at. From daybreak to afternoon is these chances of this area west over in this area, west of Hattiesburg, having some severe weather. And again, it's just a level 1. There's no mention of anything other than some wind gusts and some heavy downpours. So good for us. As we look at this 10-day outlook, kind of normal in East Mississippi, cooler as we get near the Tennessee line and up near Corinth and those areas there at the state line into Tennessee, kind of below. Now, here's our 7-day outlook as we go in today, anywhere from 89 to 91, depending upon where you're standing. We have that 60% chance of thunderstorms. Tonight, not really all that different than this morning because we started out at 68, somewhere right along in there. 69 predicted for tonight, more or less the same tomorrow, decreasing to a 40% chance. And by Friday, as the gang gets back together, sunshine, 90. 91 on Saturday with sunshine. We've got a slight chance of showers moving back into the forecast Monday and Tuesday with a 30% chance, but still holding steady at that anywhere from, say, 87 to 90 degree mark. Won't change much, but it'll be right below 90 there for a few days as we go all the way through June the 19th. We'll see that sunshine gets back into the forecast there by mid-month, and we'll steady around there and get at least a 50% chance on the 17th, high of 90, partly cloudy, and we start seeing those temperatures. Look at that as it starts to rise there. 93 means we're real close to July. Anybody thought about that? Ooh, it's going to be kind of warm when it comes to that. Now, let's look at our fishing forecast today from our good friends, Chet's Paint and Body. They tell us the perfect time today is going to be this afternoon, right at high noon until 2 p.m. Not bad at all there. Your next major chance will be after dark as we look at a slight chance of minor fishing at dark, 8 o'clock tonight. So your best time to fish today is high noon. The wind's going to be southwest 5 to 15, but we do have a few gusts there. 20-mile-an-hour gusts could occur, so that could mess up your line, whatever you're doing, so keep it in mind. What's going on with the tropics? We are into hurricane season now. Fortunately, I can hit the button and tell you absolutely nothing is going on. That's precious. That's wonderful. The only good thing about a hurricane is you can prepare for those. We see those coming, unlike that tornadic season. That's what we've got when it comes to weather this morning. Already sitting at 10 till, which means we're going to come back live in about 4 minutes from now. 4 to 5 minutes, we'll be back live as we'll get into the morning show. Odie's here. We got coffee going. I hope you've got yours. You've got enough time to go make a cup. Sit back down and we'll get ready and we'll discuss what's gone on over the last 24 hours. We'll be right back. Join us, won't you? Looking forward to it. Robin, good morning. I see Terry is there. Woo. Nothing wrong with that. Also there. We'll see you in just a second at the Scotty Ray Report.
The Scotty Ray Report is brought to you by our following partners.